Have you ever been in a situation where the balance feels off? You're always the one reaching out, the one sending that first text, while she remains silent, as if waiting for rain in the desert. Days pass, and you're left wondering, is she even interested? Am I misreading everything? If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. But instead of spiraling into self-doubt, what if you could take a different approach, one rooted in self-respect and clarity? Today, we're breaking down how to handle this dynamic with confidence and composure. I'll guide you through actionable steps to shift the energy in your favor, all while weaving in timeless Stoic wisdom that can reshape not just how you see relationships, but how you navigate life itself. Let's get started. Step 1. Step back and evaluate. One of the hardest truths to accept is that someone's lack of effort doesn't necessarily reflect your value. It reflects their priorities. It's tempting to rationalize her silence with excuses like, maybe she's just busy, or she's not much of a texter. But here's where you need to lean into honesty. Ask yourself, am I overinvesting in someone who hasn't shown the same interest? Stoicism reminds us to see things as they are, not as we wish them to be. Seneca's words are a sobering reminder. Truth rarely pleases. It often shocks. If she's consistently not making an effort, the reality may be that she isn't as interested as you are. This truth might sting, but it also frees you to focus your energy where it will be valued. Let's say you've been talking to someone new. You're the first to text her each morning. You're the one suggesting plans. And when you're together, the vibe feels great. But once you're apart, days go by, and there's radio silence on her end. She doesn't check in, doesn't initiate conversations, and you feel like you're carrying the entire connection. It's easy to fall into the trap of overanalyzing her behavior. You might ask yourself, is she testing me? Is she shy? Or am I just not enough? Instead of getting stuck in this loop, take a step back and observe her actions. Relationships, even in their earliest stages, are about reciprocity. If she's not showing any effort, what does that say about her level of interest or emotional availability? Epictetus wisely said, "We are not disturbed by things, but by the views we take of them." Her lack of effort isn't inherently hurtful. It only becomes hurtful when you interpret it as a reflection of your value. Shift your perspective. This isn't about you being not enough. It's about her actions revealing her priorities. If she isn't prioritizing you, it's time to match her energy. Instead of texting her first, let her notice your absence, not as a tactic or a game, but as a statement of self-respect. When you pull back, you create the space for her to step forward, if she chooses to. If she doesn't, her inaction tells you everything you need to know. Silence is a tool, not a punishment. When you stop initiating, you send a clear message, not to her, but to yourself, that you deserve mutual effort and respect. If she values the connection, she'll notice the absence of your texts and reach out. If she doesn't, you've saved yourself from investing further in someone who wasn't truly invested in you. Every relationship, or lack thereof, is an opportunity for growth. Her lack of effort is a sign that it's time to shift your focus elsewhere. Remember, your worth isn't tied to someone else's effort, or lack thereof. It's rooted in how much you respect yourself. When you stop chasing what isn't meant for you, you'll find something much more valuable: your own peace of mind. Step 2. Assess your expectations. The truth is, much of our frustration comes from unmet expectations. We anticipate her texting first as a sign of interest, as proof that we matter to her. When it doesn't happen, we interpret it as a reflection of our worth. But this mindset can trap you in a cycle of disappointment. Think about it this way. Are you overly focused on her texting habits? Let's flip the perspective. What if her way of showing interest isn't through initiating conversations, but through how she engages when you do? A meaningful relationship isn't built on a tally of who texts first. It's about consistency, effort, and how you both contribute to the connection overall. Imagine this scenario. You've been talking to someone for a few weeks. Every time you text, she responds warmly, perhaps even enthusiastically, but she never initiates. You begin to question her interest and feel undervalued. Now, pause. What evidence do you have that she doesn't care? Is it possible that texting just isn't her love language? Or maybe she assumes you enjoy initiating. By shifting your focus from her behavior to her overall actions, how she speaks to you, how she treats you when you're together, you might find that her interest is clear in other ways. As Epictetus wisely said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. You can't control whether she texts you first, but you can control how you interpret her behavior and, more importantly, how much you let it affect your peace of mind. Instead of spiraling into doubt or frustration, remind yourself, her actions are hers to own. My emotions are mine to master. By doing this, you take back your power. You become less reactive and more grounded, a quality that not only benefits you, but also makes you more attractive in the long run. Ask yourself, are you approaching this relationship with genuine curiosity and interest, or are you keeping score? A Stoic man doesn't seek validation from another person. His sense of worth comes from within. Focus on being present, kind, and consistent, regardless of whether she texts first. When you prioritize your own peace and emotional security, you'll find that her texting habits carry less weight. If she's genuinely interested, your grounded demeanor will make her feel safe and respected. If she's not, you'll walk away without resentment, because your happiness was never tied to her actions. Remember, your peace of mind should never depend on someone else's behavior. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. By embracing this mindset, you shift from a place of neediness to one of quiet confidence. And that, more than any text, will make her notice you. What do you think about this perspective? Does it resonate with you, or have you experienced something similar in your relationships? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment sharing your take, or simply write, "My peace is my power." Your insights not only enrich the discussion, but also create a space where others can learn and grow alongside you. Let's keep the conversation going. Step 3. Don't take it personally. It's natural to personalize someone's behavior, especially when you care. Her lack of response can feel like a rejection of you as a person. But the Stoics remind us that external actions are rarely about us. People act based on their own inner worlds, shaped by experiences, challenges, and priorities that you may never fully see or understand. A lesser-known Stoic concept, sympathia, speaks to the interconnectedness of all things. Her silence isn't a deliberate attack on your worth. It's simply part of her journey. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, writes, "You have a role to play, as does she. Accept your place in the web of events." When you understand this, you can release the need to internalize her behavior as a reflection of you. Think of a time when you were distracted, perhaps overwhelmed by work, family issues, or personal struggles. Did you neglect a message or fail to check in with someone? Not because you didn't care, but because your mental bandwidth was maxed out. Her silence could be rooted in something similar, or it could simply reflect a lack of alignment in priorities. For instance, you might be deeply invested in building a connection, but she's uncertain about what she wants or is preoccupied with other areas of her life. Recognizing this difference in priorities isn't about excusing her lack of effort. It's about acknowledging that it doesn't define your value. When you stop personalizing her actions, you free yourself from unnecessary emotional weight. Instead of overthinking why she hasn't texted, you can focus on what's within your control, your own peace of mind. This detachment isn't about indifference. It's about maintaining your balance and self-worth, regardless of external circumstances. Ironically, this sense of detachment can make you more attractive. When you're no longer chasing validation or overreacting to silence, you exude confidence and calm. People are drawn to those who respect themselves and don't seek approval from others. Instead of wondering, "Why isn't she texting me?" reframe the situation. Ask yourself, what can I do right now to better myself or bring joy to my day? Maybe it's focusing on your hobbies, hitting the gym, or spending quality time with friends. When you prioritize your own growth and happiness, her silence becomes less significant. Sympathia reminds us that we're all connected, yet each of us walks our own path. Her silence may not be ideal, but it's a part of her journey. Maybe she's figuring things out. Maybe she's not ready for the type of connection you're offering. Or maybe she's simply not the right fit for you. Whatever the case, it's not personal. It's just life unfolding. When you understand this interconnectedness, you'll find peace in the uncertainty. You'll realize that her behavior is about her, not you, and that frees you from taking it to heart. Detach, focus on your own growth, and trust that the right connections will come naturally. Because when you stop chasing and start living authentically, you'll find that what's meant for you will align effortlessly. Step 4. Match her energy. Imagine this. You send a good morning text. No reply. By afternoon, you're itching to reach out again, so you send another message to check in. She responds briefly, maybe with a one-word answer or an emoji, but there's no effort to continue the conversation. Frustrated, you try again, later, hoping for a different result. But nothing changes. What you're doing here, though well-intentioned, is trying to compensate for her lack of effort. You might think that sending another message shows care, but in reality, it often comes across as needy or overbearing. And here's the irony. The more you chase, the less attractive you seem. Why? Because constant availability eliminates the excitement of connection. When there's no space for curiosity to grow, the dynamic becomes one-sided and uninspiring. If she's not putting in effort, the answer isn't to double down on yours. It's to pull back and match her energy. Think about it. When you're always available, you leave no room for her to wonder about you, to miss your presence, or to feel the desire to reach out. But when you create a little distance, you invite curiosity. This doesn't mean you're playing games. It means you're valuing your time and emotional energy. If she wants to connect, she'll take the opportunity when it's available. If she doesn't, her actions, or lack thereof, will reveal her level of interest. The Stoics valued temperance, the practice of moderation and balance in all things. When applied to relationships, this means resisting the urge to overcompensate and instead finding harmony in your actions. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do nothing without purpose. Let it be done out of reason and virtue." Before sending that extra text or trying to fill the silence, ask yourself, am I doing this because I genuinely want to, or because I'm seeking a response to validate my worth? By matching her energy, you demonstrate self-respect and dignity. It shows that you're willing to meet someone halfway, but not willing to chase after what isn't being offered freely. When you match her energy, you send a clear message, not just to her, but to yourself. You're communicating that your time and effort are valuable, and you're not willing to give them away freely to someone who doesn't reciprocate. This balance doesn't just foster healthier relationships. It also strengthens your own sense of self-worth. Overtexting can come across as desperate, but moderation conveys confidence and stability. People are naturally drawn to those who respect themselves. By practicing temperance, you exude an air of calm assurance that's inherently attractive. The Stoics remind us that moderation is key to a harmonious life. Apply this principle to your relationships, and you'll not only feel lighter and freer, but also become someone who commands respect and admiration effortlessly. Have you ever found yourself overcompensating in a situation like this? Or have you tried matching someone's energy to see what happens? Share your thoughts in the comments below, or just leave this simple sentence: I choose balance over chasing. Your perspective could inspire someone else on their journey, so don't hesitate to share. Step 5. Focus on your own growth. When you're constantly focused on someone else, why they're not texting, what they're thinking, or how they feel, you give away your power. You place your emotional well-being in their hands, which only leads to frustration and insecurity. But here's a liberating truth. You can't control her actions, but you can control how you respond. And the best response? Shift your focus to your own growth. As Seneca wisely said, the greatest power is self-mastery. When you prioritize self-improvement, you reclaim your power and create a life that's fulfilling, whether she's a part of it or not. Self-growth is about focusing on yourself and building a life you're proud of. You can hit the gym to boost your confidence and energy, or you can learn something new, whether it's a skill, a hobby, or a book that excites you. Spend time with people who genuinely care about you, and pursue passions that make you feel alive and fulfilled. When you focus on your mental, emotional, and physical well-being, you create a fulfilling life that doesn't depend on anyone else. And this natural confidence is magnetic, drawing the right people into your life while keeping you grounded and happy. Imagine this. You've been waiting all day for her to text back, but your phone remains silent. Instead of staring at the screen or letting the silence eat away at you, you decide to hit the gym. While there, you push yourself to lift heavier, run faster, or try a new workout routine. Afterward, you feel accomplished, energized, and proud of yourself. Later that evening, instead of ruminating on her lack of response, you pick up a book or work on a personal project. Over time, this routine becomes your new normal. You're no longer dependent on her messages for a sense of fulfillment because your life is already rich and meaningful. And here's the irony. When you stop chasing her attention and start thriving on your own, she's far more likely to notice. People are drawn to those who are confident, self-sufficient, and focused on their own growth. Instead of analyzing her behavior, use this time to cultivate your own virtues. Whether it's discipline, patience, or resilience, every step you take towards self-mastery brings you closer to becoming the person you aspire to be. True confidence isn't about external validation. It's about knowing your worth and living in alignment with your values. When you're actively working on yourself, physically, mentally, and emotionally, You build an unshakable foundation of self-respect. This inner confidence is magnetic. It doesn't just make you more attractive to others. It also changes how you see yourself. You'll no longer tolerate one-sided connections or seek approval because you'll know that your value doesn't depend on anyone else. If she's not texting or reaching out, don't waste your energy trying to figure out why. Instead, use that time to focus on your own growth. Hit the gym, learn something new, deepen your relationships with friends, or pursue your passions. Every step you take towards self-improvement strengthens your confidence and makes you more attractive, not just to her, but to everyone around you. As you grow, you'll realize that your happiness and fulfillment don't depend on anyone else. And that's the most liberating, attractive, and stoic quality of all. Step 6. Communicate openly and honestly. In a world where mixed signals and subtle games dominate modern dating, taking the road of honest communication can feel daunting. What if you're seen as too forward? What if your honesty pushes the other person away? But let's be real. If this connection truly matters to you, avoiding the issue only delays the inevitable. If something feels off, it's time to address it head-on, with calmness and clarity. Picture this. You've been the one always texting first, planning meetups, and showing interest. But deep down, you're starting to feel the imbalance. You wonder if she's genuinely interested or just responding out of courtesy. Instead of making assumptions, stop guessing and start communicating. Playing games like waiting for her to text first or pulling back to see if she notices might seem like a safe way to protect your feelings. But these tactics often lead to frustration and confusion. A healthier approach? Address the situation openly and directly. As the Stoics remind us, true strength lies in honesty and integrity. Having an honest conversation doesn't mean confronting her with frustration or blame. Instead, approach her with curiosity and a desire to understand. You could say something like, "I've noticed that I'm usually the one initiating our conversations or plans. I just wanted to check in and see if you're equally interested, because this connection is important to me." This kind of statement is powerful because it's calm, straightforward, and non-accusatory. You're not demanding answers or placing blame. You're opening the door for a meaningful conversation. When bringing up sensitive topics, timing and tone matter. Avoid having this conversation over text, as it can lead to misinterpretation. If possible, bring it up in person or during a phone call when the mood is relaxed. Speak calmly, with a tone of curiosity rather than frustration. Remember, the goal isn't to pressure her. It's to gain clarity and understanding. Clear communication can dissolve misunderstandings and provide the clarity you need to decide your next steps. Maybe she's genuinely interested, but has been holding back because she's unsure of how you feel. Or maybe she's not as invested, and her lack of effort reflects that. Either way, an honest conversation gives both of you the opportunity to align your intentions. Through honest communication, you show that you value yourself and the connection enough to address what matters. Whether the relationship deepens or ends, you'll walk away knowing you acted with dignity. If a connection matters to you, don't resort to games or silence. Address the imbalance calmly and with curiosity. Ask for clarity, not as a demand, but as an act of mutual respect. True courage, as Stoicism teaches, is found in these moments of honesty. Clear communication doesn't just resolve misunderstandings, it also reinforces your self-respect. And that's a quality that makes you not only a better communicator, but also a more attractive and grounded individual. Now that we've explored how to approach these conversations calmly and effectively, we'd love to hear your perspective. Have you ever faced a situation where open communication made all the difference? Or maybe you've experienced the consequences of avoiding it. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your stories and insights might just inspire someone else to take that brave step toward clarity. Step 7. Create an abundance mindset. It's easy to fall into a scarcity mindset when you're fixated on someone who isn't reciprocating your energy. Every unanswered text, unreturned call, or lack of effort feels heavier when you've placed all your emotional investment in one person. But here's the truth. There's a whole world of opportunities and connections waiting for you, if you're willing to open yourself up to them. When you place all your focus on one person, her actions, or lack thereof, can feel all-consuming. Every ignored text or unreciprocated effort stings more deeply because you've subconsciously tied your sense of fulfillment to her responses. This scarcity mindset makes it hard to detach and see the bigger picture. Ask yourself, am I acting as though she's the only person who could bring me happiness? If the answer is yes, it's time to step back and reframe your perspective. The Stoics remind us to accept reality as it is, not as we wish it to be. If she's not matching your energy, it's not a reflection of your worth. It's simply a sign that this connection might not align with your path. And that's okay, because life is abundant with possibilities. An abundance mindset means realizing that one person's lack of effort doesn't define your options. There are countless people out there who could appreciate and value you for who you are. But to discover them, you need to broaden your horizons. Start by exploring new environments, meeting new people, and investing in activities that bring you joy. This isn't about replacing her. It's about expanding your perspective and reminding yourself of the vastness of life. The more you focus on abundance, the less her lack of effort will feel like the end of the world. The Stoic principle of amor fati, loving your fate, teaches us to embrace all outcomes, even the ones that initially seem disappointing. If she's not reciprocating your effort, it's not a failure. It's simply life guiding you towards something or someone better suited to you. When you practice amor fati, you learn to see every experience as necessary for your growth. Her lack of interest isn't rejection, it's redirection. It's life's way of telling you to keep exploring and remain open to new connections. Imagine you're deeply invested in someone who isn't putting in the same effort. Instead of doubling down on trying to win her over, you decide to expand your social circle. You attend events, join a hobby group, or simply say yes to opportunities you might have previously ignored. Over time, you meet new people, some who become friends, others who spark potential romantic interest. As your life fills with new connections and experiences, her absence begins to feel less significant. You realize that she wasn't the only possibility. She was just one of many paths available to you. This is the power of abundance. When you stop clinging to what isn't working, you make space for what could. An abundance mindset isn't just about finding new connections. It's about realizing that life is full of possibilities waiting for you. Let go of what isn't working and trust that the right opportunities will come your way. In the meantime, focus on living fully and authentically, because that's where true abundance lies. Step 8. Set boundaries without ultimatums. In relationships, boundaries are the cornerstone of mutual respect and emotional well-being. But too often, people view boundaries as tools to control others, issuing ultimatums in hopes of forcing a change in behavior. This approach rarely works, and more importantly, it undermines your own sense of self-worth. True boundaries aren't about controlling someone else. They're about protecting your peace and honoring your values. Imagine you're in a relationship where the effort feels one-sided. Maybe she's inconsistent, distant, or failing to meet the standards you've set for how you want to be treated. Without boundaries, it's easy to slip into a cycle of overcompensating or tolerating behavior that leaves you feeling undervalued. Boundaries are a way of defining what you will and won't accept, not as a punishment to others, but as an act of self-respect. They signal that you value yourself enough to step away from situations that don't align with your principles or needs. Ultimatums. If you don't start texting me more, I'm done. Or, if you don't make an effort, I'm walking away. Put the focus on controlling the other person. They're rooted in fear and desperation, and they often backfire. Instead of fostering genuine change, ultimatums create resentment or force someone to act out of obligation rather than desire. Boundaries don't require big speeches or dramatic exits. They can be communicated calmly and simply. For example, I value consistency and effort in relationships, and I feel like there's an imbalance here. I'm looking for a connection where the effort is mutual. This type of statement isn't a demand or ultimatum. It's a clear expression of your values. If she respects you, she'll reflect on her behavior and decide whether she can meet your expectations. If she doesn't, her response will give you the clarity you need to walk away. If she continues to fall short, you don't need to argue or explain yourself repeatedly. Simply step back. Protecting your peace doesn't mean slamming the door with anger or frustration. It means calmly removing yourself from situations that don't align with your values. Justice, in Stoic philosophy, isn't just about fairness to others. It's about fairness to yourself. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It is not fitting to value what is not in your power." This applies to relationships. You can't control whether someone meets your standards, but you can control whether you continue to accept behavior that doesn't align with them. When you set boundaries, you're practicing justice by treating yourself with fairness. You're acknowledging that your time, energy, and emotions are valuable, and you're refusing to settle for less than what aligns with your principles. When you treat yourself with fairness and justice, you build a foundation for healthier, more fulfilling relationships. And if someone isn't willing to meet your standards, their absence creates space for better opportunities. Protect your peace, honor your principles, and trust that the right connections will come when you stay true to yourself. What do you think about this approach to setting boundaries? Do you see it as a way to strengthen connections, or does it feel challenging in your current relationships? Share your thoughts in the comments, or simply leave this sentence. Protect your peace and honor your principles. Let's start a conversation about how boundaries can empower us all. Step 9. Let go of the outcome. In the uncertain dance of connection, it's natural to wonder, will she text me back? Does she feel the same way? These questions can consume you, turning every moment of silence into a source of anxiety. But here's the truth. The more you fixate on the outcome, the more power you give it over your peace of mind. One of the most liberating things you can do for yourself and for the relationship is to let go of the outcome entirely. Instead of worrying about whether she'll respond, focus on the moments of connection that you've shared. Did you enjoy the conversation? Did it bring you joy to express yourself or share a part of your day? That's what matters. When you detach from the need for a specific result, you free yourself to appreciate the interaction for what it is. a moment of human connection, not a transaction that requires a guaranteed return. This mindset not only protects your peace, but also makes your energy more attractive. People are drawn to those who radiate joy and confidence, not to those who seem preoccupied with outcomes. Let's say you've had a great interaction with her, and you text her afterward to check in or share something meaningful. She doesn't respond right away. Instead of spiraling into overthinking, did I say something wrong? Should I send another message? Remind yourself that her response is beyond your control. Shift your focus to something you enjoy. Maybe you hit the gym, dive into a hobby, or spend time with friends. By detaching from the outcome, you show yourself that your peace of mind isn't tied to her reply. Ironically, this kind of calm detachment often works in your favor. When you're not anxiously chasing a response, you exude a sense of confidence and self-assurance that others find irresistible. When you're not preoccupied with outcomes, your energy changes. Instead of coming across as needy or anxious, you project calm confidence. People are drawn to this energy because it signals that you're grounded in yourself, that your happiness isn't dependent on external validation. This isn't just about appearing attractive to her. It's about becoming more aligned with your best self. When you prioritize your peace and focus on the present, you naturally draw others toward you. When you stop worrying about whether she'll text you back and start focusing on the joy of connection, you free yourself from unnecessary stress. By embracing the Stoic principle of ataraxia, you cultivate a state of tranquility that protects your peace and enhances your confidence. Letting go of the outcome isn't about indifference. It's about trusting yourself enough to accept whatever happens with grace. And when you radiate that calm confidence, you'll find that not only do you feel lighter and freer, but your energy becomes undeniably attractive. Step 10. Be willing to walk away. There comes a point in every relationship where the imbalance of effort becomes too heavy to ignore. You've tried to connect, you've shown interest, and you've even communicated your feelings openly. But if her lack of effort becomes a pattern, leaving you constantly chasing while she gives the bare minimum, it's time to ask yourself a critical question. Am I valuing myself as much as I want to be valued? Walking away from someone you care about isn't easy. It can feel like giving up or admitting defeat. But the truth is, it's not failure. It's an act of strength and self-respect. And when viewed through the lens of Stoicism, walking away is often the best way to honor your own value and create space for deeper, more fulfilling connections. The first step is to identify whether her lack of effort is a one-off situation or a consistent pattern. Everyone has busy days or moments of distraction, but when effort becomes one-sided over time, it's a sign that something deeper is missing. Ask yourself, are you the one always initiating conversations and plans? Does she seem indifferent no matter how much you try to engage her? Does her behavior make you feel undervalued or unappreciated? If the answer to these questions is yes, it's time to consider whether staying in this dynamic aligns with your values and self-respect. Walking away isn't about punishing her or creating drama. It's about valuing yourself enough to stop chasing someone who isn't meeting you halfway. True connections are mutual. They don't require you to convince someone of your worth. Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, the obstacle you face, her lack of effort, can guide you toward a better path. Walking away isn't closing a door. It's opening a new one that leads to connections where you're equally valued. Imagine you've been dating someone for a few months. You're always the one suggesting dates, checking in, and keeping the relationship alive. She responds, but her engagement feels surface level. You've had conversations about it, but nothing changes. At this point, you've done all you can. The choice to continue, or not, rests with you. Instead of waiting for her to change, you decide to step back. You send a kind but clear message, such as, "I've really enjoyed getting to know you, but I feel like the effort in this relationship isn't balanced. I value mutual effort and connection, and I think it's best for me to move on." This isn't about creating guilt or demanding more from her. It's about reclaiming your energy and self-worth. When you walk away from someone who doesn't value you, you create space for someone who does. The time and energy you were pouring into a one-sided relationship can now be redirected toward people and pursuits that align with your values. When you walk away from someone who doesn't prioritize you, you send a powerful message, not just to them, but to yourself. You're declaring that your time, energy, and emotions are valuable. You're proving that you're willing to prioritize your peace over one-sided connections. This kind of self-respect is magnetic. It signals to others, and to yourself, that you know your worth and won't settle for less. And in the process, you cultivate a sense of confidence that makes you even more attractive to the right people. So, if she never texts you first, take a moment to reflect. The power to shape your life and your relationships is always in your hands. Use this as an opportunity to grow, to set clear boundaries, and to truly value yourself. Remember, self-worth isn't dependent on someone else's actions. It comes from within. Thank you so much for watching and being a part of this journey. If this message struck a chord with you, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, share it with someone who might need to hear this, and drop a comment below. I'd love to know, what's one step you're committing to today to reclaim your power and shift your mindset? Stay strong, stay focused, and always stay true to your principles. Remember, life is a continuous practice of growth and self-mastery. Take it one day at a time. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, keep moving forward and keep embracing your inner Stoic.